And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to a Digital City Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets play Game 2 of a simulated series against the Cincinnati Reds as SNY continues to play the 2020 season on MLB The Show on PlayStation 4. Well, the Mets had a great month of May. They had a stretch where they won 17 of 21 games, but the last few days, not so good. They've lost their last 4. Despite some awesome power numbers from this team, they lead the National League in home runs.
Yes, they do, Gary. And, Conforto and Alonso are picking up where they left off. You expected the power from those two guys. Conforto, 13 home runs, leads the Mets in home runs. Alonso, 9. McNeil, who showed great power numbers in the second half last year, you didn't know what to expect. He's got 9 home runs. He's been red hot. Cespedes, he's back here. He's been healthy. He had 2 home runs the other night. He's got 8 home runs, but the big surprise, Gary, is Brandon Nimmo showing power this year. 7 home runs. So the Mets have been clicking offensively, and the power numbers are certainly there.
Well, McNeil and Cespedes have each hit 8 home runs in their last 10 games. Cespedes hit 2 last night. Not enough as Jacob deGrom got beat up by the Reds, and tonight the ball goes to Marcus Stroman.
Gary, for Stroman so far this year, it's been not easy going. His ERA sitting at 5.5. His record's 3-3, more hits than innings pitched. But for a young man that just turned 29 years old and is a free agent, he wants to get it going, even if we're in the digital world.
Well, we'll see if Stroman can get that sinker going tonight, facing a Reds team that's played well. They're 6 games over 500 heading into the game tonight. It's the Mets and the Reds coming up. Marcus Stroman on the mound for the Mets tonight. It's been a rough start to the season for Marcus, but appeared to get things pointed in the right direction in his last start against Miami.
Yeah, you're right, Gary. 3 runs and 7 innings of work for Stroman. You can see in a world where strikeouts are so important to starting pitchers, that's not Stroman's game. He's going to have to get back to getting ground balls.
Phillip Ervin will lead off for Cincinnati. Ervin playing left field tonight, hitting .300 for the season with 3 home runs. And Stroman's first pitch of the night, swung and missed, and we're underway.
There's that cutter that is a big weapon for Stroman.
Yoenis Cespedes in left field tonight as MLB The Show does the random defensive computer generation graphic. Swing and a miss by Ervin, and it's 0-2.
It's pretty amazing. That's only playing with two defensive players tonight.
They don't show the entire defense, but they always show a couple of random players. And Stroman starts his night with a strikeout as he gets Ervin with a slider for the first out of the night.
I notice we have a nice crowd tonight at the ballpark.
No social distancing tonight at Digital City Field. Reds won the opening game of the series last night, 7-6, as they hit Jacob deGrom hard. Mets came back but fell a run shy. Here's Jesse Winker, and he flies one out to right field, and Conforto easing back to grab it, and there are 2 men down. So Stroman's retired the first 2. And now 36-year-old Joey Votto will step in.
Well, future Hall of Famer in Votto, batting champion. He has been struggling the last couple of years, and this year off to a .288 start, as you can see, but the power numbers have been dropping significantly the last few years for Votto.
Last year, Joey put up a .357 on-base percentage, which was the lowest of his career. His lifetime on-base percentage starting this season was at .421. Great master of the strike zone.
Really, when you think about it, guys, yeah, kind of a sabermetrics MVP kind of player. He produces everything in the analytics department.
Well, he's been criticized in Cincinnati within the organization that he's the big bat and, taking the walk. He's much like what happened with Ted Williams with the Red Sox, Ronnie, that Ted Williams would not swing at a bad pitch out of the strike zone. And he was obviously the big bat in that lineup, which the past Reds teams, which haven't been so good, he's been their big hitter.
2-2 coming to Votto. And he flies one to deep right field. Conforto back onto the warning track and reels it in a step from the fence.
Oh, he forgot how many outs. He digitally forgot how many outs there were.
Mets will come to bat in the bottom of the first with no score. 25-year-old Tyler Mahle on the mound for the Reds tonight.
3-3 on the young season. Fine ERA for Mahle so far. As he had 25 starts last year, he's going to be a big part of that starting rotation.
Reds' strength is in their starting pitching. Mahle tried to fit a spot in the back of that rotation, which is led by Luis Castillo and Sonny Gray. Here's Jeff McNeil to lead off. McNeil hitting just .255, but 9 home runs, including 8 in his last 12 games. We talked a lot during spring training, Keith, about the 2 McNeils, the one who hit for the high average the first half last year, and the one who hit for great power in the second half. And it appears as though the powerful McNeil has come to the forefront to start this year.
And as a result, Gary, he's got 22 RBI on the season coming in. That's leading the Mets in RBI. I would prefer Jeff to be more of the 330 hitter, get on base percentage up over 400. He's in the top of the order, but he's certainly off to a power start.
Swinging at a 3-0 pitch and grounds one foul.
You gotta love this simulated game. Did you see the plane that went over Citi Field 2 pitches ago?
Saw the shadow anyway.
Yeah.
No stone left unturned.
Yes.
Neil yanks one foul, and it's still 3-2. Pete Alonso hits second in the order tonight, and then Michael Conforto. And McNeil smashes one down to third. Diving knockdown by Suarez, but his throw to first too late. And McNeil's got himself an infield hit. Nice play by Suarez to take a double away from McNeil, but Jeff speedy enough to beat it out. And now here's Alonso, who homered last night. And he takes curveball for a strike. He with 9 home runs, hitting at .286, leads the National League in walks with 31. And he gets a breaking ball and drills it to center, but right at Jesse Winker, and that's the first out.
Interesting to have digitally Winker playing center field and Irvin playing left. I thought it would be the opposite.
A couple of the players that the Reds imported this year to strengthen their position player cadre are sitting tonight. Nicholas Castellanos and Mike Moustakas both out of the lineup for the Reds. There's a breaking ball strike to Conforto.
The Reds were very active in the offseason, really going for it to improve their ball club. And that's as a result, they're having a good season right now. They've got a good ball club.
They had the pitching last year. They needed to improve their offense, and they seem to have done that. And Conforto goes down on 3 pitches. Mally's got his first strikeout, and that's the second out of the inning.
Yep, that Conforto asking the umpire if that ball was up, and that's been kind of the one spot up and away with Conforto showing the power swing. He gets a little blind up and away sometimes.
Here's Wilson Ramos, and he takes the pitch high. Ramos hitting .325 and really has been swinging the bat extremely well. .350 over his last 10 games.
He is a professional hitter.
Lines this one to right. Coming on quickly is Aquino, and he makes the sliding catch. And that retires the side. Aristides Aquino with a sweet play. And that gets Tyler Mahle through the bottom of the first.
Very nice. Look at that.
The way the ball sticks in his glove.
Beautiful. On the seat of his pants.
Then we go to the second, and Eugenio Suarez will lead off for the Reds. Suarez coming off a huge year last year. He had 49 home runs, drove in 103. 10 home runs this year in the digital season.
Begs the question, Gary, most underrated player in the game?
You know, I was just thinking in those terms, Ronnie, and I think it's really fair to say, because Suarez does not get a lot of publicity, but he has upped his home run total every year of his career, culminating in that 49 home run gem last year. There's a sinker for a strike from Stroman.
They also signed him to a good contract, I think, so they got him for the next few years.
And Suarez fouls it away, 2-2. Aristides Aquino waits on deck for the Reds. And Stroman misses away. Marcus Stroman acquired last year at the trading deadline when the Mets felt as though they were tearing down, but building up for the next year as well. And here he is. Flight out to right. Conforto a long way back, and he'll have to play it off the fence. An extra base hit for Suarez, and he pulls it at second base with a leadoff double. So Eugenio Suarez going the other way and didn't miss a home run by much.
Well, it looks like the Reds are attacking Stroman. Stroman loves that cutter, and Conforto's been a busy guy out there in right field thus far.
So here is Aquino, who last year as a rookie played in 56 games and hit 19 home runs, including 11 home runs in his first 59 at-bats. Talk about starting your career with a splash. So far this year, just 2 home runs for Aquino through the first almost quarter of the season. He's got that wide open stance, Keith, almost facing the pitcher.
Yes, a lot of open stance hitters. Look at that. He's almost out of the box, Gary. He's certainly on the chalk with that front foot. But look where he goes. He strides into the ball. That's the key.
You know, he reminds me of a Red from our time, Keith. Eric Davis had that wide open stance.
Well, since I'm the old timers, he goes down slinging there. The guy I remember most was the Detroit Tiger. Dick McAuliffe had the big open stance. That 60s Tiger teams.
Okay, left-hand hitter, McCall.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Aquino, you mentioned Eric Davis. He's also wearing Eric's number. Eric wore number 44. Here's Freddie Galvis, the former Philly. Picked up last year on waivers from Toronto. And Galvis sitting at 252, 5 home runs.
You know, my first thought about Galvis is always that he's a player with 9 lives, but he does a lot more offensively than you think when you look at his numbers for his career.
Comebacker. Stroman, with a little panache, makes the play for the second out.
Well, Stroman owns some gold from 2017 when he won the Gold Glove as a member of the Toronto Blue Jays.
He made an immediate impression on the Mets. If you remember his first start in Pittsburgh, he made that great pickup on a barehanded play and got an out at home plate. One of the best defensive plays we saw all year. And as Tucker Barnhart steps in.
Yeah, throwing on the run, Gary. That was an incredible play. Looked like an everyday infielder.
Barnhart off to a rough start, hitting his 162 for the year, the switch hitting catcher. And a terrible swing and a pitch in the dirt.
That train left the station way ahead. You got to dial it up a notch.
Do you get angry if you're a player and you're watching your swing on this game and it just looks that bad?
Rolled out to second, and Cano makes the play on Barnhart, who will not be watching the video review of that digital swing. Middle of the second, no score.
Poor Tucker.
Robinson Cano will lead off the bottom of the second for New York. Robbie's been swinging the bat well. Last 10 games hitting 364. That's gotten him up to 311 for the year.
Yes, and Mets got to be happy with that. I felt that Cano, what I saw last year, Gary, I didn't see the loss of bat speed. which is always when someone gets older, you look and see if they've lost a little bit of that bat speed. That makes a big difference. I didn't see that at all last year, and I have not seen it this year.
Cano hits one right back to Malley, and he makes the play for the first out.
Hey, Keith, here's an out of left field question. See the right elbow pad there worn by Cano? I know you didn't wear any batting gloves. Would you have worn any protective gear if you played in today's game?
Well, Ron, I tell you what, I've been hitting that right elbow so many times. I've got a big calcium deposit there, and if I put my elbow down a hard table, or a hard surface the wrong way, it'll shoot up to my neck. I would have considered wearing an elbow protector, a pad, just because that's where you get hurt the worst, that and the wrist, and boy, you can stay in. I mean, Alonso is the perfect example. He's got that big old white pad, and he strides right in, and he's fearless because he can. That elbow is not going to get hurt. So I would definitely have considered it, Ronnie.
You don't think it would restrict your swing in any way?
I don't know. I've never put one on, Gary. I don't. These guys, that doesn't affect their swing. I mean, Pete hit how many home runs? 53 last year. I don't think it had any effect on his swing.
1-2 coming to Cespedes. And Malley gets him with a high fastball. Second strikeout for Tyler Malley, 2 out of the inning. You know, I go back to the elbow guard that Barry Bonds used to wear, which was this massive hunk of plastic. And I always wondered how he could be so quick with the bat when he had that enormous thing on his elbow.
I know that I spoke to our great friend, the late Rusty Staub, and Rusty said to me, I remember in conversation, if they had been around and the pads had been around in his day, he would have worn them. I might have kept Rusty off the training table, Ron, a little more.
I doubt it.
Brandon Nimmo hitting 7th in the order. Ball and a strike. Nice split screen view from our digital director. You realize that when we do our SNY telecasts, we are not the proponents of the strike zone box superimposed over home plate. So we are not accustomed to having this on our broadcast.
And I know when I get to the postseason, all I can see is that box for the first couple of games that I have to do. I'm like, whoa.
Lifted out to left by Nimmo. Back a few strides goes Irvin onto the warning track, and he makes the catch. And that retires the side. 1-2-3 go the Mets in the bottom of the second. After 2, Mets and Reds. No score. Third inning at Citi Field. Josh Van Meter leads off for the Reds.
The second baseman.
Young utility man playing second base tonight. And Stroman starts him off wide, 0-1. Van Meter came up last year, played 95 games for the Reds, played 5 different positions, mostly an outfielder, but he can fill in at the corners on the infield and at second base as well. And he fouls one away, 1-2.
You know, Gary, you brought up Stroman before, and of course, this is not reality. These aren't his real numbers. But in watching him in a small bubble last year, I think 2 things are important for Marcus this season. His free agent year, just turned 29 years old a few days ago. He's got to limit his pitches, and he's got to get the ball on the ground. Those are the 2 most important things for him to be successful.
And I think we've seen as he strikes out Van Meter on a sinker in the dirt, and Ramos makes the throw for the first out. I think he's got to concentrate on throwing his sinker effectively, Ronnie, and he was talking about that in spring training, how he feels as though he should have the best sinker in the league. I thought last year when he came over in the trade from Toronto that he was a little more amped up and maybe got away from that, looking to strike people out more.
Yeah, and I think the strikeouts did come, but I don't think his true effectiveness, we did not see it, but just in stops and starts last year. So I know he loves his slider, loves his cutter, and those are important pitches. But they'll be better pitches as if he can get that sinker going.
Rosario throws out Malley for the second out.
And there's Rosario there with a nice backhand. That was a problem with Ahmed early in his career, something he's worked very hard at to improve. And it's just a very, very smooth backhand. We've seen it so far. This season he seems to have mastered it.
2 out and nobody on up to the top of the batting order, and Phillip Ervin, who struck out his first time up, and he grounds one down to McNeil. He makes the play, and that retires the side. So Stroman with a 1-2-3 inning. He's retired 9 of the first 10 tonight. We go to the bottom of the third with Rosario to lead off. Still no score. Ahmed Rosario leads off in the bottom of the third for the Mets against Tyler Malley. Mets trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. They faced Malley last year. The Reds were at Citi Field just about the same time of year last year, and Malley pitched a terrific game. He got matched up against Noah Syndergaard that night, and Malley allowed just 1 run over 5 innings. Problem is, A, the 1 run came on a Syndergaard home run, and B, Syndergaard went the distance and pitched a 1-0 shutout. A rare event. Shutout, 1-0, with the only run coming on a pitcher's home run.
Malley, I saw, went to Westminster High School. I thought our young right-hander went there also, was a basketball star.
Gesellman?
Yeah, I thought he went to Westminster High School as well. Had a full boat to University of California in Santa Barbara. I don't know how you turned that down, but he signed with the Reds.
7th-round draft pick in 2013. His brother pitched in the big leagues. Greg Malley was briefly with the Angels back in 2016, a left-hander. 3-2 coming to Rosario with Stroman on deck, and Ahmed fouls it away. It'll be Rosario, Stroman, and then Jeff McNeil for the Mets in the third. By the way, Jeff McNeil is going to join us later in the game. The actual Jeff McNeil will be able to commentate as Rosario's caught looking. The actual Jeff McNeil will commentate as the digital Jeff McNeil plays for the Mets. I'm not sure that we've ever had that kind of a circumstance before. In fact, I'm fairly positive we have not had a player commenting on his own digital image. But that'll be it.
You better be quick.
Rounded toward the middle of the diamond, Galvis gets over near the bag and throws out Stroman 2 away. Well, you know, Jeff has been warming up for his assignment with us tonight. He played in the Players League, and I'm sure we'll be talking to him about that. Made it all the way to the semifinals before he got beat. Lost to Blake Snell of Tampa Bay in the semifinals of the Players League after going 21-8 in the regular season. And McNeil fouls went off. And what I thought was entertaining about the Players League is they play 3-inning games.
Yes.
Which, you know, that might be an idea if they want to experiment when we come back to playing again.
I'm all for it, Gary. You know what's amazing is that how any starting pitcher doesn't win this is beyond me. I mean, they only pitch once every 5th day.
1-1 to McNeil with 2 out and nobody on. And Jeff launches one to deep right field. Back goes Aquino looking up, and it's out of here. Into the Coca-Cola corner. Jeff McNeil strikes again. His 10th home run of the digital season, his 9th in the last 11 games, and the Mets jump in front 1-0 in the third.
Well, he loves that ball down and in, and got a breaking ball a little out over the plate. And he is just raging hot, Gare, and you mentioned, right, Jeff, now, his 9th home run in his last 11 games.
Well, he had 23 last year, and he is on a pace for 40 or more in this digital season.
You know, I know it's digitally, but it's interesting that both at-bats, lengthy at-bats, a lot of pitches seen by McNeil.
So McNeil gives the Mets the lead, and now Alonso. And Pete takes a letter high strike.
Funny, when Pete comes to bat, the crowd behind the plate is up, standing, awaiting.
They're a very excitable group behind home plate.
Behind of the count 0-2, and Malley tries to tease him with a curveball and misses. 1-2.
Ron, I just noticed before 2 pitches ago that the advertisement behind home plate was changing and moving when the pitcher was in the middle of his motion, like almost right there.
Yes.
Again, would that bother you? Would you?
No. Yeah, you would never see that, Keith. Like, I mean, if you see that, you've got to get into another school of work. I mean, you are just tunnel vision on your catcher. Nice block by Barnhart, one of the best in the game.
Now Malley got ahead 0-2. Now he's run the count full, throwing all breaking stuff. And that time the splitter fouled off.
Would you say, Gary, that Alonso in this digital game is number 1 in National League in walks? Or
31 walks through the Mets' first 35 digital games. And that makes sense. And there's walk number 32. So Malley got ahead on the count and messed around and wound up walking Alonso, and he'll have to face the league's leading home run hitter, Mike Conforto, with a man on.
And with that many walks, with Alonso on base as much as he is, if you're hitting behind Alonso, like Conforto, there's a lot of opportunities to drive in runs.
Well, it makes sense after the guy hits 53 home runs one year that all of a sudden teams are going to be a little less apt to go after him.
Well, it's pick your poison. Pick your poison here.
It's called the boo factor.
I'm sorry, the what factor?
The boo, like you're afraid. Boo.
Oh.
I'm not pitching to him.
I see. I thought you meant boo like boo hiss.
No,
boo
no.
Like, I'm scared. Well, it's a tribute to Alonso, too, that he's not being overly aggressive in chasing too many pitches, that he's taking his walks, knowing how powerful the rest of this lineup is. And Bruce in the pudding, the digital Mets lead the National League in home runs, led by Conforto.
And you know what's also, we had this last year, we noted that there's strike 3 right there, and I guess we're going to go to a quick commercial break here.
Yeah, there's no break, Keith. No break.
Yeah.
McNeil, though, gives the Mets the lead. With the second deck home run.
Oh, we're back.
And now it's the 4th inning. And here's Jesse Winker, who really made a name for himself at Citi Field in the Reds' visit last year. The first game of that 4-game series, he had a game-winning home run off Edwin Diaz in the 9th inning. In the 3rd game of the series, he made a sliding catch to end the game and seal a Reds win. And in each case, he waved to the fans, which, got people a little hot under the collar. Then in the last game of the series, that was the game that Syndergaard pitched the shutout, Winker was ejected from the game for arguing balls and strikes, and the entire crowd at Citi Field got up and waved him off the field. It was a sight to behold. No one comes in to grab it and throws out Winker. And, Winker clearly was trying to agitate and have some fun with the crowd, and they loved it, and he loved it, and I thought it was great. I don't know if you guys remember, but I thought it was terrific.
I do remember, and it was more like he was taunting the fans down the left field line. He was playing left field that day, or in that series mostly. I mean, outfielders, I think, in New York hear it the entire game from the fans.
Joey Votto flied out his first time up. And he takes a sinker just off the corner, and it's 2-1. The digital home plate umpire today, by the way, is Joe McDonald. No relation to the former Mets GM. I want to say hi to Joe, who's 90 years young and enjoying this digital game at home. The real Joe McDonald, not the digital umpire Joe McDonald, as Votto strikes out for the second out.
The digital umpire Joe McDonald, very chatty, has a lot to say behind the plate, calling balls and strikes.
So two out here, Suarez, who has the only hit for the Reds. He doubled off the fence in right center in the second. Since then, Stroman has retired 8 in a row. And he gets him to chase a slider. And it's 0-2. And Suarez takes a call, third strike. That is strikeout number 5 for Stroman, who's faced just 1 over the minimum through the first 4 innings. So Marcus has it in gear, and the Mets have a 1-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the 4th. Home 4th inning at Citi Field. Wilson Ramos leads off for New York against Tyler Mahle. Mets with a 1-0 lead on the strength of a Jeff McNeil home run. Ramos lined out to right, a nice sliding catch by Aquino his first time up. And Wilson takes low and away, ball 1. It'll be Ramos, then Robinson Cano, and Yoenis Cespedes for the Mets in the 4th. And Mahle missing badly with a slider, 2-0. The 25-year-old Tyler Mahle, 3-12 for the Reds last year with an ERA over 5. And he missed about 6 weeks in the middle of the season with a hamstring injury. And he walks Ramos on 4 pitches to start the bottom of the 4th.
You know, Gary, 11-23 in his career, but the most alarming stat last year, in 129 in the 3rd innings, he gave up 25 home runs.
Now, part of that has to be a consequence of playing at Great American Ballpark.
Big time.
And of juiced ball last year, but still, that's a big number.
Yeah.
Here's Robbie Cano, who hit a comebacker his first time up.
You know, that's about 40 home runs in a 200 inning pitched year, Gary. That's major.
But will anybody ever catch Bert Blyleven?
How many give up? 50 in that
50.
87 year?
50. That was a juiced ball year too, 87.
Yeah, they won the World Series that year, the Minnesota Twins.
1-1 to Cano, and he lifts it toward left field. Long run back for Irvin, and he won't get there. It's up against the wall, and Ramos, for some reason, stopped at second base.
It was a bad read here. Now remember, Ramos is not fleet of foot, to say the least. And a moment of hesitation, a bad read, and he didn't wind up on third base. It should have been a double.
Now, if this were, our normal broadcast rather than a digital simulation, our replay guys would have been all over that to show us what had happened to Ramos. But, we're at the mercy of the feed that's given to us, and we'll just have to assume that Ramos didn't see that ball very well, because he should have been on third.
My digital crystal ball, Gary, said that he tripped on his way to second, so he just held it there.
Well, I didn't see that.
That's as good a guess as any. 2-0 to Cespedes is popped up into foul ground. Votto should have room and puts it away. Who is that first base coach? Wait a second.
Wow.
We have a bogey in place of Tony DeFrancesco at first base.
McNeil often having a big day. 2 hits, a home run. Got the one Mets on the board.
Brandon Nimmo takes up and in for ball 1.
Oh, sorry. It was Nimmo. My mistake. It's hard. He looked like, visually, he looks just like McNeil.
A 9 is like a 6 upside down, Keith. That's grounded on the right side. Nice play, Van Meter. Gets the out at second. The relay not in time. So they're able to cut down Cano for the second out. And you can't help but think if Ramos had been on third base, where he should have, Mets would have had a run.
Yes, absolutely. There would have been one out with a runner on third, too. That would have advanced the runner.
Luckily, he chipped, so we don't have to criticize him.
So it's left to Rosario with 2 on and 2 out. And Malley misses low for ball 1.
Outside, that's the ball.
Rosario, the at-bats we've seen him in this digital season has been very patient. First game we did against the Astros, he had a number of long at-bats, threw a couple of walks. Had a 7-pitch at-bat his first time up tonight before going down on strikes. And Malley working carefully to him with the pitcher on deck, behind him 3-0.
Yeah, but if you lose Rosario, you're putting another runner in scoring position. It's not like he's got an open base at first.
You ever think that way, though, Ronnie, with 2 out? If you have an open base, even if that base is third, do you pitch differently?
Oh, absolutely. You're going to be very careful, and I'm surprised that Rosario wasn't swinging 3-0 with the pitcher up next. Oh, yeah. You'll still try to get the hitter to try to get himself out, thinking that the pitcher would be an easier mark.
Three-1 coming to Rosario. And he swings through the high fastball, and it's 3-2. Ball 4 to Rosario, and that loads up the bases. So now Stroman will bat with the bases full. Marcus has driven in 1 run so far this year, 2 hits and 13 at-bats. Guy's spent most of his career in the American League. And he hits the first pitch up the middle. That's a base hit. In to score is Ramos. Nimmo right behind him. And Nimmo scores. It's a 2-run single for Marcus Stroman, and the Mets now have a 3-0 lead.
First ball, he got a hanging slider, it looked like. And Stroman helps his own cause there, and that's why we love the National League, and there's no DH. That pitcher in the lineup, he has to hit. You never know what they can do.
Comes back to hurt Malley trying to pitch around Rosario.
Yep.
So 2 runs are in, and here's McNeil with 2 aboard, and he takes a high strike. Jeff's already 2 for 2, had an infield hit, a smash off Suarez's glove in the first, and then he launched a home run into the Coca-Cola corner in the third. Knocked down by Barnhart, a ball and a strike. And again, human Jeff McNeil will be joining us later in the game to talk about digital Jeff McNeil.
I don't know about you guys. I'm just going to ask him about golf, if you don't mind.
I'm sure he'll be happy to talk to you about his golf games. On 1-1, McNeil flies one out to center, and Winker eases over and puts it away to retire the side. But the Mets get 2 on Stroman's 2-out, 2-run hit. We go to the 5th at Citi Field, with the Mets up 3-0. Fifth inning, Aristides Aquino leads off against Marcus Stroman, who's now got himself a 3-0 lead. Aquino struck out his first time up.
For Stroman, his last 9 outs, Gary, 5 via the ground ball, 4 strikeouts.
2 fly ball outs in the first inning, but everything else since then via the strikeout of the ground ball. And Aquino launches this one deep left field. Forget that. That is way out of here, off the facing of the second deck. Aristides Aquino with a long home run, his 3rd of the year. And that cuts the Mets' lead to 3-1. That's the kind of power he showed as a rookie when he hit 11 home runs in his first 59 at-bats. That ball was smoked.
Look at that exit velocity. My goodness.
What did it say, Keith? I missed it.
106.3 miles per hour, I think.
Yeah, 419 feet.
So that's just the second hit for the Reds against Marcus Stroman. And now Freddie Galvis takes a strike. Galvis hit a comebacker his first time up. The Reds are 20-14 in this digital season, off to a nice start in the National League Central. The Mets, who got off to a dreadful start, but trying to snap a 4-game losing streak tonight. And Galvis grounds one foul. Grounded on the right side, and Cano is there to play it. And Galvis retired one away.
Now batting, the catcher, Tucker Barnhart.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Tucker Barnhart, who grounded out to Cano his first time up. And he takes a borderline strike, 0-1.
Ball, that's out.
After that ugly cut that he had on a pitch in the dirt his first time up, I wonder if Barnhart's going to be swinging the bat this time.
Yep, that ball went out.
Takes the slider away, and it's 2-1. Do you think there's memory for these digital players?
Yeah, I was just thinking that Barnhart might be swinging the bat at us if we ever make our way to Cincinnati later in the year.
Well, but that's the digital Barnhart, not the human Barnhart. Not going to pull Milton Bradley and visit the booth, is he? There's a 3-1 on the way, and that's grounded on the right side. Another chance for Cano.
Oh, good luck trying to find us.
I was just thinking, you know what? When you first hear yourself on a broadcast, you say, I don't sound like that, right? You can't believe your voice sounds like that. I would have to say when you're watching this as a player, you're going to say, I don't swing like that. I mean, I look better than that, don't I?
And the answer to that is that they probably do.
Yeah.
Whereas when you hear yourself on tape, that actually is you.
Oh, it's annoying, isn't it? Not for you, Gary. You got a good voice, but I know
it
for me.
It happened to me, too. Van Meter hits one to deep right field. Back goes Conforto, and that ball will hop against the fence. Josh Van Meter with a 2-out double.
Now batting, the pitcher, Tyler.
He ripped this. You can see him waiting there with a breaking ball. And that's the second ball that's gotten over Conforto's head there.
And now Tyler Mahle, the pitcher. Thought perhaps they would think about hitting for Mahle.
Yes.
He's thrown 75 pitches over 4 innings. Got the tying run at the plate in the 3-1 game.
Come on,
Don't know
David Bell.
Don't know how much deeper he's going to pitch into this game. And Stroman gets it over for a strike. 1-1.
Ball two.
I mean, they have Castellanos and Moustakas out of the lineup tonight. I don't know whether either of them is digitally hurt coming into this game, and that might shorten their bench.
Well, Mally's only a 088 hitter in his career, so.
And looking for his first hit this season. He grounds this one down to McNeil. He gets in front of it and throws out Mahle, and that retires the side. We've come halfway. Aristides Aquino putting the Reds on the board with a long home run off the facing of the second deck. But the Mets and Marcus Stroman with a 3-1 lead as we go to the bottom of the fifth at Citi Field.
Cincinnati.
We're going to the bottom of the fifth inning. Wade Miley comes out of the bullpen for the Cincinnati Reds, which is fascinating because David Bell let his starting pitcher hit Tyler Malley made the last out in the last half inning. It's computerized managers, guys. I've got a real issue with that. But fortunately, joining us in the booth or the virtual booth, is a guy who knows all about managing these MLB The Show games, and that is Mets third baseman Jeff McNeil, fresh off his triumphant performance in the Players League. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Well, we're enjoying doing this, and you had a fascinating experience. I don't know if everybody is aware of the Players League that just finished up, but Jeff went 21-8 representing the Mets in the regular season, and then made it to the semifinals before he got knocked out. What was that experience like, Jeff, being the skipper of the Mets for a couple of weeks?
It was tough. It's not easy. I had to kind of make some decisions. Whether to let DeGrom hit, take him out. I wanted him to go another inning. You got to kind of manage their energy. In a 3-inning game, they lose energy really quick. So you got to kind of think about do I want him to go this other inning? Is he going to make it? Do I go to the bullpen? How long? Who's first out of the bullpen? Do I double switch? Do I want him to hit? It's tough. So a lot of respect for managers in the National League who got to make these decisions all the time.
Hey, Jeff, is it going to hurt your relationship with Syndergaard since you had someone warming up when he started the game?
Yeah, so I can't pitch with Syndergaard in that game. I don't know why. It's just extremely hard for me to pitch. So, my semifinal game against Blake Snell, I had someone up like first batter. I'm like, I need some insurance. Unfortunately, I think Syndergaard, he took one in the head, a line drive off the head. So I ended up getting a concussion, had to actually come out of the game. But luckily, I had Justin Wilson in the pen. He got me out of a huge double play, so to get out of the inning. So it was actually good managing, but hopefully Syndergaard doesn't hold that one against me.
Now these are 3-inning games that you were playing, so the strategy had to start right from the opening pitch in all these games, right? I mean, that's really
absolutely.
Weird. Imagine 3 innings.
You can't throw DeGrom out there every single game. Pitchers get tired, so you got to kind of manage and think. You got to kind of think ahead. Who you want to come out of the pen, and you just can't keep throwing. The big three. You got the chances, Diaz and Luga. You just can't keep throwing them out there. So it's tough, but I had a lot of fun with it, and I think double switching was extremely hard. I didn't know when to do it, and I wanted. So it's tough. I mean, a lot of respect for some managers out there.
How was it managing yourself when you had yourself at the plate? Was that a different experience for you?
No. I mean, I just try to go up there and hit. I swing at first pitch every game. I lead off. I really like my lineup. My lineup when I led off. It was followed by Conforto. So my lineup was me, Conforto, Pete, Robbie, Cespedes. I think it was like Wilson, Marisnik, and Rosario. It was a great lineup. I loved it. The reason I didn't have Nimmo in there is because for some reason in MLB The Show, they made Nimmo's second position center field instead of his first. So it's weird. So I had Marisnik out there for defense, and actually ended up being one of my team's best players.
Now, does that lead to any kind of neighborhood tension? Because I know Nim is down the block from you.
Yeah, he's a couple of houses down. I don't think he knew, so I'm not going to tell him. He'll probably find out. But he came up huge with some big pinch hit home runs for me. So, he was one of the reasons that I got so far with his clutch hitting.
I think you also had J.D. Davis hit a big pinch hit home run for you, right? A walk-off?
Yeah, J.D. hit a big walk-off homer in the quarterfinals against Dwight Smith Jr. He had a nice 2-run homer to win the game for me. So, I thought that was good managing. I had him pinch hit for Robbie Cano. So, he's pinch hit for one of the best hitters in all of baseball. But, it was a left-on-left matchup, and he basically, was trying to hit a homer. So, JD's been clutch all year. He was probably one of our most clutch hitters last year as well. So, I thought it was a good move.
That's pretty interesting. You can tap into your preferences. So, if you had to make a lineup every day, you would hit in the leadoff spot.
I like hitting leadoff. I would hit one or two. It just kind of depends. I like hitting leadoff because, I can go that first pitch of the game. I can attack. Pitchers are usually throwing fastballs early in the game, so I like to swing early. However, I like that second too because if you get someone like Nimmo on base, Rosario, we can kind of make stuff happen. Rosario can steal a bag, Nimmo can steal a bag, and if I'm hitting with that hole open at first base, I love that. It's one of my favorite things to do is hit with that big 4-hole, try to yank the ball in it, and try to make something happen early in the game.
That's Jeff. That's why I like you in the 2-hole because you're a left-hand hitter. You got Nimmo speed up on front. It opens. I was the same way when I played. When they had a runner on first base and that first baseman had to hold the runner on, you can just poke the ball and set up a first and third for your offense.
Yeah, no, when I'm up there and there's a runner on first base, I'm on the plate a lot, so I'm kind of looking for that pitch middle in and just trying to yank it. Basically, try to be a dead pull hitter then, and then once I get to 2 strikes, I'll try to battle. But I like batting 2-hole for that reason. If we lead off with a double, I know I can get him over to third. Just trying to hit a ground ball, second base or the right side and get him over, and do everything I can to make it 1-0 in the first inning. It's huge to get that first run and get out in front and get the lead.
Now, in this game that we're watching, Mets lead 3-1 as we go to the bottom of the 6th, and you're already having a nice game. You had an infield hit. It was a smash that might have gone to the left field corner. Suarez did a nice job knocking it down, but you beat it out for an infield hit. And then you parked one up in the second deck in right field in the 3rd inning for what is your 10th home run of this simulated season, including 9 in the last 11 games. It seems like you're picking up where you left off at the end of last year.
Yeah, my one complaint about this is it made me too slow in the game. I think I'm faster than a 51 speed. I get a good amount of infield singles, and so I hit some balls in the Players League where there's no way I'm grounding into a double play, and they were like so routine. So I think they got to make it faster. But yeah, I think I've hit 9-10 home runs so far, and I'll take that. My average is a little low. I don't want it to be at 250 or wherever it is. So hopefully that can get up there and back into the 300s where I want to be.
And Nimmo didn't miss a home run by much there. Hit it halfway up the fence in left center. So he's at second with 1 out.
See, Jeff, you should have been playing Nimmo more. Hey,
and against the lefty.
Yeah, Nimmo can hit. It's so outfield play in this game is tough. They make a lot of errors for some reason. So, like, if you have a guy playing out of position, it makes it worse. So, for some reason, Nimmo's out of position in center field. So, I'm like, okay, I don't want to lose a game. I was playing Hunter Pence, and he lost the game because of his outfield play. It was actually Hunter Pence in right field. He was going to catch the ball, hit him right in the chest, and dropped it as a walk-off. So, I didn't want any of that happening. So, I'm like, all right, I'm going to put, the true center fielder, I guess, according to the game in center field, and I'm hopefully not going to lose it. And I ended up losing the game because of it. I think it was the first game of the season against Tatis. I think he hit him. I think Tatis ended up hitting a ball right at Marisnik, like hit his glove, fell down, and I think it ended up costing me a few runs and lost the game because of it.
Now, in these games that we're doing, all the managing is computer generated, and I thought it was interesting. The first game that we played, they had Marisnik coming in for defense for Conforto late in the game, which I thought was
wow.
An interesting call by the computer. I didn't expect to see that.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. So what I did, late in games, if I was winning and didn't really need Cess to hit again, I would put Nimmo out on left. That's his natural position in the game. Put Nimmo on left, and then just keep it all the same. I think I went to left a few times. I think I did some double switches where I went to left and had JD play third. So, just trying to get the best defense out there for late in the game.
By the way, Marcus Stroman had a 2-run single in this game. They pitched around Rosario with 2 out to load the bases to get to him, and he went first pitch back up the middle, drove in a couple of runs. Marcus has already won a Gold Glove. Now that he's in the National League, maybe he's focused on getting a Silver Slugger as well. So, Jeff, how is this unexpected break been for you in terms of keeping your baseball skills sharp? We know about your MLB The Show skills. How about being ready when eventually baseball comes back? How difficult has that been?
Yeah, I think I'll be fine. One of the main things I've been doing is, I just got to keep my body in shape. I got to stay strong. I got to keep my weight on, and just be kind of strong and ready whenever spring training comes back again. I think they're going to give us kind of a 2 to 3 week, heads up. You guys are coming back. So, once we hear that, it doesn't take me a long time, especially hitting and to get ready. So, 2 weeks before spring training starts, you swing the bat a lot, and then, once spring training starts, I need a week or 2 of ABs and should be ready to go. So, basically the main thing for me right now is, keep my body in shape and, kind of maintaining my strength that I put on in the off season.
What is your routine, Jeff, you do daily to keep yourself in shape?
Right now?
Yeah.
Basically it's just kind of wake up, I go to the Nemos. Basically they got a little kind of garage gym, so I'll go over there, get my workout in and play catch a little bit, and then I'll hit, once, twice a week right now, just to kind of, stay swinging and make sure, it's not a surprise to my body when we start doing it again a lot. So, it's not a lot right now.
Are you doing any running?
Yeah, I've been running. Got to keep the legs in shape. Had the hamstring stuff last year, so making sure those are strong and have no problems this year. So I've been running a lot and should be ready to go when the time comes.
When you say you're hitting, where and how are you hitting?
We got a cage down the road we can go to. We just got a tee, and the Nito's got a little net at his house. He lives right down the road too, so we can go over there and take tee balls and little kind of side toss flips into the net. But not a whole lot we can do. With the complex closed, hopefully they open that up soon, and we can get down there and start taking some batting practice again.
Jeff, we've been digitally kidding you about your home runs here in this game, the show. But your second half, you had a lot of home runs. And 2 seasons ago, of course, before you were called up, you had showed big home run power in AAA. Was that a conscious decision to try to hit the ball with more power, or did it just come?
I think it just came. I put on a lot of strength and a lot of size and weight, and I think with that, the power numbers jumped. So yeah, when I went to AA in 2018. Yeah, 2018. I wanted to hit for some power. I know that was one thing kind of lacking in my game, and got off to an extremely hot start. Hitting the ball out of the ballpark and still hit for a high average. So nothing really changed from 2015, 16. I was just a lot kind of weaker and skinnier, and just didn't really have that home run power, and was able to get in the gym, work extremely hard, and that was kind of the one thing that changed my career.
When you say you put on weight, I know it's all muscle. How much weight did you put on, and what was your playing weight before, playing weight in the second half, and what you're gonna stay with that playing weight going forward this year? Yeah.
So when I first got drafted, I was like 150 pounds. If you look at pictures, I was skinny. I was weak. It was tough for me. And then usually every spring training up until 2015, I came in at about 165. The heaviest I was maybe 170. It was
human Jeff McNeil, I need to interrupt you because digital Jeff McNeil is about to lead off in the 7th, and we don't want to miss any part of his at bat. Having already had an infield hit and a home run tonight, and now facing the lefty Wade Miley for the first time.
Swing! Now I swung at that. Fast pitch. The first pitch, fastball to the zone. I'm probably swinging. Like when I face lefties, I like my approach is I expect a lot of breaking balls. So I always kind of look at my front hip. Oh, did I just go yard?
There goes another one deep to right.
Oh my God.
Heading for the
corner.
Corner. It's out of here. Second of the night
Go
for
4-0-2,
McNeil.
101 off the bat. I'll take that. I don't hit a lot of homers off lefties. I feel comfortable off lefties, just hitting for average, and then I'll take my power numbers off righties. So any homer off a lefty, I'll take.
So he joins us in the virtual booth, and he brings down the house. 2 home run game. I think, didn't you hit 2 home runs against the Diamondbacks last September?
Yeah, they were both off righties.
Is that the only one you? Is that the only 2 home run game you've had in the big leagues?
Yeah, in the big leagues, yeah. I've had one other 2-run homer in my career in Double A. It was one of my first few games in Double A. New Hampshire hit 2 homers, but yeah, first one in the big leagues.
Well, now you can add a digital double to your resume as well.
Take it. I'll take it.
I don't know. Pete looks angry that you went deep twice.
Well, I have more home runs now than him, so.
That's right.
You got 11. He's got
I got
9.
11, he's got 9, so.
You're leading the team in RBI too.
All right. Let's not get that average up and we'll be good.
You still got Conforto ahead of you, though. He's leading the league with 13.
Conforto rakes, and he rakes in real life, he rakes in the game. I love hitting. He's my favorite to hit with in this game.
Now, why is that? Is there a particular skill to playing with a particular player when you're managing these games?
To Pete go yard? Nah.
I came up a little shy.
No, I like hitting with left-handed hitters. I think it's just easier in the game. Obviously, there's more right-handed pitchers in this game. I think you just see the ball better. So it's tough for me to hit with big right-handed hitters like Pete and JD. But yeah, with Conforto and a right-handed pitcher, I love it. It's too easy.
Now, I got to ask you a question, Jeff. You always talk about attacking the first pitch, but you attack first pitch on strikes. You have a terrific knowledge of the strike zone. How did you develop that knowledge for the strike zone? It's really...
I think it's just something I kind of developed when I was really young. Back in Little League, I hated striking out. I would strike out once or twice a year, and I would lose my mind when it happened. So, it was just something I've always, kind of done. I've always hated swinging and missing. And I just want to put the ball in play. So, it's something that I kind of developed at an early age and, carried it all through college and, all through the minor leagues and up to the big leagues. So, try to swing good pitches. I know I can get away with, swinging at some bad pitches sometimes, just trying to put the barrel on the ball. But, hopefully I just do that with 2 strikes and the non-hitter counts, and especially with no strikes. I'm looking for a pitch I can handle. I'm not looking for, exactly one spot. I'm looking for, a good pitch in the strike zone I can handle.
You talked about the shortened spring training we're likely to have when baseball gets restarted. How many days of facing live pitching does it take for you to get back into that groove of being able to get the bat to ball the way you do?
I think I can get, ready in about a week. A week of live pitching, I'd imagine when we come back, we'll start, doing some live BPs. That's good just for tracking, but, it's the game. It's once, the spring training games start, that's where you really get a, feel for how you're seeing the ball and how you're feeling at the plate. And this year, I think last year I started off a little slow in spring training, but, got real hot at the end. This year I was, feeling really good early in camp. I was ready for season, so hopefully, I can start off camp hot again and be ready for season.
Wilson Ramos finding the gap for a 2-out double, his second hit in this game.
Gary, Ramos running a lot better in the end of this game than he was in the beginning.
Yeah, we had a little base running mishap for Wilson, Jeff, earlier in the game. He was at first base, and Cano hit one up the gap, and for some reason Ramos only wound up at second.
Yeah, the base running in this game is extremely hard. There's been a lot of base running errors in the MLB, the Show Players League, but it's tough. I don't blame him. And they gave him a 0 speed, which is, I don't think he's a 0 speed.
See,
well, this is
negative.
He's not a 0 speed.
I hope he's not watching this broadcast.
So they bring in a right-hander to face Cano, which is a little odd. And Robbie bats with a runner in scoring position.
I think the one thing that was tough to manage was the free batter rule. That was tough because we got a replay of me going yard, I think.
Yep.
Well, we finished up the 7th inning, and this is the second home run of the night for digital Jeff McNeil. 3 for 4, 2 bombs. Not a bad outing.
I'll take it.
Jeff, thanks so much for joining us. This was really a blast. We look forward to seeing you back on the real field soon, and congratulations on your Players League semifinal appearance, and we'll talk to you real soon. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
Have a good one.
We go to the 8th inning, and Tucker Barnhart leads off for the Reds against Marcus Stroman, who's pitched a gem tonight. Marcus allowed just a run and 3 hits over 7 innings, 81 pitches, so he's good to go to start the 8th. As he misses to Barnhart 1-0. Barnhart's been up twice, grounded out both times. 7, 8, and 9 in the Reds' order, coming up in the top of the 8th.
Well, as Stroman's pitch count would indicate, he's throwing strikes, getting ground balls, had a lot of strikeouts early in the game. But with that sinker, putting the ball in play, and there is thus his pitch count low and able to go into the 8th.
Seems as though he's leaned on his sinker more and more as the game has gone along. It's had good movement. He's had good success with it.
I think you're right, Gary. A lot of left-handed hitters also. 13 ground ball outs so far in this game for Stroman.
After falling behind Barnhart, he pours one over, 3-1. Well, that was fun talking to Jeff McNeil, who is the man of the hour in this game so far for the Mets with 2 home runs tonight. Three-2 from Stroman, and Barnhart whacks one on the ground to Cano, and that's the first down in the top of the 8th.
Rolled it over, pitcher's best friend. You're right, Gary. I mean, he's been sort of the man since he's come up. It's been interesting doing what we do, you and I and Keith, and those players that don't get a lot of notoriety who come up and just make a big splash.
And in McNeil's case, so many players come to the big leagues these days with enormous hype, and I think Pete Alonso certainly is in that group. But every once in a while, a guy will sneak through the cracks, and Jeff was that guy because of injuries, because he didn't play baseball in high school, and he was never looked at as a big-time prospect, and yet he has become one of the best contact hitters in all of baseball, and now showing off increased power as well. A guy who can play multiple positions. Just a terrific story that he has scripted. Line to center, and Nimmo diving, but he can't come up with it. And Van Meter's got a base hit.
Now batting.
Got a little slider up there, it looked like. Didn't have any down tilt and kind of over the middle there, and Van Meter just took advantage of that.
Now Nicholas Castellanos will bat for the pitcher.
Is he Nicholas or Nick these days? We don't know. He changes it so often.
Reminds me of Roberto Kelly. Whenever he went in a slump, he became Bobby. Pops one up for Ramos, and so Castellanos, Nick or Nicholas, is out of there on just one pitch. And that's the second out.
We didn't get a chance to talk to Jeff, but, he was a kid born in Southern Cal, Orange County, grew up in Orange County those kids, they wanted to play golf. They wanted to be the next Tiger Woods, and he is, to this day, a great golfer and was a great junior golfer and basketball player more than a baseball player.
There's Phillip Ervin, who's 0 for 3, and he takes a strike. Stroman trying to get through 8. Still under 100 pitches for the night.
7 innings in his last start against the Marlins for Stroman, so he's getting hot.
It was not a great start to the season for Marcus. Came into the night with an ERA of over 5.5, but he has looked splendid in this virtual game. And Irvin strokes one into right field. That's going to fall for a base hit. Stopping it Second is Van Meter, and so the Reds have 2 men on in the 8th.
You know, Urban's really a big key for this team. They had Billy Hamilton for all those years that could never get on base enough, and Urban's a tremendous athlete. Will he hit enough?
Well, that's a tough break for Stroman.
Looks like that might be all for Stroman.
Yep. That was an inside out. He jammed him. He just hit a little bloop in the right field. Tough break for Stroman there.
So a solid 7 2/3 for Marcus, who gets a nice ovation from the digital crowd.
He's not pulling his shirt out?
Not yet. Justin Wilson out of the bullpen for the Mets.
Well, Wilson last year was one of the best pitchers in the bullpen for Mickey Callaway. Except for a few elbow issues early in the season, he was tremendous, especially with that good cutter.
Now, Wilson this spring developed a new curveball with the help of Mets pitching coach Jeremy Hefner. New grip on that curve, a pitch he had pretty much abandoned over the last few years. I don't know if it developed quickly enough to be incorporated into the digital version of Justin Wilson for MLB The Show. We'll see if he throws one to Jesse Winker. He starts him off with a fastball inside for ball 1. So Winker, who introduced himself to the Citi Field crowd last year with some antics, has yet to do anything productive in this game. He's got 0 for 3, a fly ball and a couple of groundouts. But up in a big spot here, tying run at the plate in the 8th inning. And Wilson, missing with a cutter, promptly falls behind 3-0. Joey Votto would be next. And that's ball 4, and that'll load him up.
Wow, you know, we're coming back to the rules now. Jeff mentioned it, 3-batter rule. Wilson in here to get the lefty out, and now he'll face Votto, and if he doesn't get him out, he'd have to stay in for Suarez.
That's the one thing I've noticed we noticed last year on this Met lineup is that they have a lot of left-right, right combinations. And in this game in particular, if you look at the Mets lineup, they're left-right throughout 1 through 9, which with the 3-pitch rule makes it pretty problematic for a 3-batter rule, makes it problematic for opposing managers.
You know, it used to be that you'd go left, right, left to get the opposing manager to waste a reliever. Now you're doing it to get a more favorable matchup because of the 3-batter rule. Of course, the 3-batter rule only applies if you don't finish the inning. So if Wilson gets the final out here in the 8th, having only faced 2 batters, that's fine. You can still replace him in the next inning and get a righty in to face Suarez. And Votto flies one out to right field, and Conforto comes on to get it, and that retires the side. So Wilson, after the walk, gets Votto to fly out with the bases loaded, and that sends us off to the bottom of the 8th with the Mets still up 4-1.
Outfielders never know the outs in this digital game, by the way.
Robert Stevenson on to pitch for the Reds as we go to the bottom of the 8th.
Big right-hander for the Reds, so they've got a few of them in that bullpen. Hard thrower.
Former first-round draft pick from Martinez, California. We've seen him as a starter and a reliever over the last few years. Yoenis Cespedes leads off.
Most famous player from Martinez, California? Joe D.
Joe DiMaggio running?
Yeah, from
He
Martinez.
was born in Martinez, not San Francisco. He was raised in San Francisco.
Born in Martinez, yeah.
Huh. I should know that. That's a shame on me.
That's you. That's your neighborhood.
That's a fine.
Stevenson promptly falls behind 3-0. Nimmo on deck, then Rosario for the Mets in the home 8th.
Just to make our virtual booth sound like our regular booth, my phone just went off.
Mine did too. I just had a notification. I just turned it
Cespedes
down.
takes one the other way for a base hit, and so the Mets have a leadoff man on in the 8th. The rare opposite field hit for Cespedes.
Remember when Cespedes, when they started playing the shift on him, he just chose to, like for a month, hit the ball to right and hit about 350?
Sometimes think he can do whatever he wants to do with the bat.
So true.
Here's Nimmo, who doubled to left center his last time up, 1 for 3 on the night. I thought it was fascinating that Jeff McNeil had his buddy Nimmo coming off the bench in the Players League.
He might not be called over to that gym tomorrow morning.
I'm saying maybe the door's going to be locked.
Exactly.
Takes a lot to wipe the smile off Nimmo's face, but I wonder whether McNeil might have accomplished that. Robert Stevenson, one of those pitchers who has gone predominantly to his breaking stuff as the pitching game has evolved. 57% slider last year, and he misses with that one.
Well, Keith says it many times. This game of baseball has become a breaking ball game.
Yep. Secondary pitches.
It's the irony of pitchers throwing harder than ever, but throwing their fastball less than ever.
Yep.
I was saying that the threat always looms, though. 95 plus always looms.
Well, it's so many 2-0, 3-1 counts. You're never going to see a fastball. As we used to say back in the 60s, that was when I came up in the 70s, all the National League players said that's what the American League was, a breaking ball league. And now it's just completely infected Major League Baseballs in both leagues.
Rosario flies one out to left, and Irvin is right there, and that's the second out. Cespedes back to first, 2 away. And now with the pitcher due to bat, we should get a pinch hitter for Justin Wilson. And it's going to be J.D. Davis. Davis had the game-winning hit in our first virtual broadcast a few weeks ago when the Mets played the Astros. Coming off the bench in this game. And takes a slider for a strike. If the regular season happens, it's going to be fascinating if Cespedes is healthy for the Mets to try and figure out where J.D. Davis fits into the mix, because you got to play him. The question is, how do you get him in the lineup if Cespedes is getting most of the reps in left field?
Well, I believe that Robinson Cano is not a 155 game ball player anymore. Then I think McNeil has got to take some time at second, and J.D. Davis has got to play some third base.
Well, there's nice problems for a manager to have. That means you've got good depth. The Mets, definitely a strong point of their ball club is their bench.
Suarez gets the force, and that retires the side, and that'll send us off to the 9th. And Edwin Diaz will be coming on to try and get the save, with the Mets leading 4-1. And there is the aforementioned Mr. Diaz. Has 11 saves this year, second in the National League.
And 11 saves, as Gary said, and only 2 walks. His control was an issue last year. Hasn't been so far this year.
23 strikeouts against those 2 walks. Eugenio Suarez leads off in the 9th. Suarez 1 for 3, an opposite field double back in the 2nd. And Diaz pours one over for a strike.
Well, we noticed last year that when Diaz kind of got off to the shaky start, which turned out to be really just a nightmare year for him, that Ronnie, he started lowering his delivery release point. And I think that really hurt him. And so far this year, he's been coming on over the top, getting on top of that slider and getting on top of that fastball and getting that high rider. You could agree with me, Rod.
And Suarez chasing the slider, and it's 1-2.
Well, I think there's stuff guys and there's mechanic guys where their mechanics are so important to what they do. To me, Diaz is a stuff guy. And you can spend all your time trying to have hand position and where he throws. I mean, his stuff is electric. Just let it go. Hard to do that last year when he lost his confidence.
Well, and so many of those pitches found the middle of the plate last year and left the ballpark. That was the biggest consideration. Yeah, the walks were up, but 15 home runs, that was really his downfall. 3-2 to Suarez leading off, and
Oh,
that just missed. Ball four.
Gee.
Joe McNeil, the home plate umpire, declining to call this pitch a strike.
Come on, Joe. Punch a hole in that mask. Let's
they
go.
got to break out the eye chart.
So the Reds have some life here in the ninth, down 4-1. Here's Aristides Aquino, who's responsible for the only Cincinnati run, a long home run back in the fifth. That was the only run Marcus Stroman allowed, over 7 2/3. He allowed just a run on 5 hits, didn't walk a batter, struck out 6 in his best performance to date in this digital season. And Diaz quickly out ahead of Aquino, 0-2. Freddie Galvis waiting on deck. Oh-2 coming. Struck him out. Diaz fans Aquino with a slider, and he's got the first down in the top of the ninth.
Number 3, shortstop, Freddie Galvis.
Well, in the digital version, not much of a stride there by Diaz, but a good slider down and away to Aquino.
Aquino was way out in front of that one. Jeez.
So now here's Galvis, who's gone 0 for 3 tonight, 3 ground ball outs.
Look at those fans are into it, boy. They want this win. They want to break this 4-game losing streak.
Reds won the opening game of the series last night. Day game tomorrow. Noontime start with Steven Matz on the mound against Trevor Bauer. And Diaz having trouble throwing strikes. He walked Suarez to lead off the inning, and now he's behind on Galvis, 2-0. Tucker Barnhart next. And 3-0.
This is where you're happy the digital game doesn't have the Boo Birds coming out.
We could add a soundtrack if you like.
No, I don't want to.
Diaz took something off and threw it right down the middle. Gunn said 99, but it looked like he kind of aimed that ball over the plate. And now it's 3-1.
Yeah, he threw a big watermelon in there, Garrett.
And that catches the corner. And so Diaz works the count full 3-2. Reds need one more base runner to get the tying run to the plate in the ninth.
That McNeil home run looms large.
And that sails high, ball 4. And so after we mentioned that Diaz has only walked 2 batters this season, he's already walked 2 of the first 3 hitters here in the ninth, and with that, the Reds will get the tying run to bat. And Tucker Barnhart coming up. Thought maybe they would hit for Barnhart, who has really had a struggle. 0 for 3 tonight, hitting just 156 for the year. But he will bat for himself, and he takes a strike, 0-1. Barnhart, 3 ground balls to second base in his 3 at-bats. And he fouls that one away. And it's 0-2.
One ball, 2 strikes.
You read about the stride, Ronnie. It's they haven't quite captured Edwin's delivery.
Or they've
And he gets
seriously
Barnhart swinging for the second out.
or they seriously have made some mechanical changes in Diaz's pitching. Bad day for Barnhart.
And so the Reds are down to their final out of the night with Josh Van Meter coming up. He's had a good day. A single and a double. He's 2 for 3.
Ball 1, no strikes.
Suarez at second, Galvis at first with 2 out. Diaz trying to put a seal on this one. But he misses low, and now he's behind 2-0. Van Meter has 2 home runs this year, tying run at the plate in a 4-1 game. And that sails high, ball 3. So, Diaz making things more uncomfortable for himself. Already 2 walks in the inning. And now a 3-0 count to Van Meter. The pitcher's spot due up next. And that missed inside, ball 4.
Oh,
and
Lord.
now the bases are loaded. The Reds have the tying runs on base. And Diaz not happy.
Keith, I think we need a customary sigh right now.
That sounded a little forced there, Keith. And this is rookie Mark Payton, who had never played in the major leagues before this season. Hit 30 home runs in AAA last year, and he bats with the tying runs on base with 2 out in the 9th. 1 home run in his brief big league career. Former Yankee farmhand who played in the Oakland system last year. And Diaz falls behind him 2-0. So the plate is really moving around for Diaz here in the 9th.
I mean, the pitching coach has got to come out. Maybe they can't do that digitally.
And we have not seen any mound visits. Maybe it's a 0 mound visit rule in MLB The Show.
There you go.
Well, it's 3-0 to Payton. You give him a green light here? Try and hit the go-ahead grand slam?
No.
And he takes a strike, 3-1. Phillip Ervin would be next. 27 pitches already in this inning for Diaz.
Sorry, Gary, didn't mean to step on you there.
That's okay. And that's ball 4, and that'll force in a run.
Oh.
So 4 walks in the inning issued by Diaz. Suarez comes in to score, and now it's a 4-2 ball game.
Oh, my
Nick
word.
Senzo will run for Van Meter at second, carrying the tying run, as Phillip Ervin comes on to hit.
Now, you're not allowed to swing at the first pitch, are you, if you're Irvin? Can't.
Base is loaded, 2 out, a run in, 4 walks in the inning for Diaz, and Ervin swings at the first pitch and hits it foul.
Come
so there
on.
You go. He was looking to hit one down the line and give the Reds the lead. Now the 0-1 from Diaz, and Ervin flies one out to right field. Conforto gets turned around but gets there, makes the catch, and the ball game is over. Diaz struggles but gets the save after walking 4 in the 9th, saving it for Marcus Stroman, who was brilliant for 7 2/3. 2 home runs for Jeff McNeil, and the Mets snap a 4-game digital losing streak as they beat the Reds 4-2.
And don't forget Stroman's 2-run single, which was huge early in this ballgame.
And back-to-back good, solid starts out of Stroman, a nice, promising sign. And Jeff McNeil continues his torrid hitting streak with the 2 bombs today.
McNeil went 3 for 4, hit a couple of home runs, now has hit 10 home runs in his last 11 games. So the Mets win it 4-2, and even up this series at a game apiece. The rubber game of this 3-game series, a noontime start tomorrow with Steven Matz on the mound for the Mets and Trevor Bauer going for the Reds. Now for Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, and our entire crew, I'm Gary Cohen. We'll see you next time on these SNY digital broadcasts.